had another one, I had baby fever, that's amazing, I would love more kids. On the other hand, I'm like, you're content, like it's fine, don't deal with the trauma. Babies for the longest period of time, I was very happy to see people with them. My best friend had a baby 3 months older than Levi. Love her pieces, and it wasn't like upset seeing other people with babies, but it was definitely like a heart-wrenching thing, like shit, I should have one of those.
I wanna laugh out loud, talk a little deeper, kiss a little harder. I wanna laugh out loud, talk a little deeper, kiss a little harder, love a little louder, love a little louder.
Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below before you go. I know I said on Instagram that this video was going to be a vlog, but I was doing wedding things and we just didn't have enough content to put into a vlog, so it's going to be like implemented in tomorrow's vlog. So we're gonna do a Q&A. So for the Q&A, I asked you guys to go ask me questions over on my Instagram. If you guys want to be a part of my next Q&A, make sure you go head over to my Instagram. I do a lot more like throughout the day updates over there, so you should definitely go over there. I'm not gonna do some big long intro. I'm just gonna get to it. Was 0 to 1 or 1 to 2 harder to adjust to, and why? So for me personally, I had different experiences. I had a baby after a stillbirth, and then I had a baby in the NICU, so they were both like hard to deal with. Mind you, like actually adjusting to being a parent and adjusting to having 2 kids, I would say 0 to 1 was definitely harder. But with Jackson, he was born in 2020, so there was also COVID, so keep that in mind. But I used to literally be so scared to like breathe around him because I just thought that he was gonna get sick and then he was gonna like develop pneumonia and then he was gonna die from it. Like I know that's exaggerative and I can look at it now and be like, that wasn't gonna happen. But at the time, that's like what I was dealing with. So I had really bad postpartum anxiety and I didn't even know it. I was just like, oh, it's from the stillbirth, it's from whatever. But with Cohen, he went right to the NICU, so that was a really hard adjustment because we had Jackson, so like we had to be here but we also had to be there. But like the actual number of kids, 0 to 1 was absolutely the hardest. 1 to 2, like you're already doing it already, so you kind of just like add another baby into like your routine with kids. Whereas 0 to 1, you're going from having like your own time, being able to do whatever you want whenever you want, to like, oh, I have to, you know, if I want to go to the store, I have to pack up a baby and bring it with me. I can't just leave. So I say that was probably the harder adjustment. What other DIY wedding things are you making? I think right now, we finished a lot of them yesterday. Dante had his friend come over and her girlfriend, and they helped us put together a lot of the wedding decorations, like the DIY ones. So I think those are mostly done. I will show them in today's vlog, like you guys will see that tomorrow. So I'll show them in that. My cat jumped out. I thought someone was walking, sorry. So yeah, I'll show them in tomorrow's vlog, but they're so cute and I'm so excited. Do you regret having kids so young? No. I've always said I wanted kids young. I didn't want to be in like my 30s and 40s and changing diapers and chasing kids and, you know, the whole 9 yards. And like all I've ever wanted to be is a mom since I was like 8. Like when people would ask me what I want to be when I grow up, my answer would always be a mom. My biggest fear in high school was that I wouldn't be able to have kids. And then imagine like the trauma with the stillbirth and the miscarriages. So then I started thinking like, hey, maybe you can't. But yeah, that was like my biggest fear. I always knew I wanted to have kids. I got pregnant with Levi when I was 18. And I would have had him at 19. And then we had Jackson at 21. But we started trying for Jackson maybe about 1.5 years before he was before I actually had him. I think in my situation specifically, we didn't plan a pregnancy at 18. It just kind of happened. But I think afterwards we adjusted to a life that we should have had, and then we wanted that life. Like we were already prepared to be parents, and then obviously we weren't taking care of babies, or baby, not babies, it's one baby. But we weren't taking care of him, and we were already set on that, so I think that helped like make the decision a little bit easier. We waited until we were like grieving the process of Levi. Like we waited until, my words, we waited until we felt comfortable with it. We didn't want to do it right away after losing him. I've known some people who have tried right away and like whatever makes you feel better, but for us that wasn't in the cards. But I think we had our kids at the perfect time. How did you know it was the right time to have kids? Like I just kind of said, with Levi, it was an accident, and then after that we were just kind of like, okay, you know, we're ready for this. We were preparing for this. Let's do this, but we waited until we were ready. We knew we were ready for Jackson, I guess Jackson. We knew we were ready for him when the thought of having another baby didn't make me want to die. Like literally after having Levi, I know it's a very different situation, like not a lot of people are going to be able to understand, because this is more of like oh, how did you know you're ready to have your first? But like I got pregnant on an accident. So I think with my situation, it was like every time I thought of babies or like having a baby, it was gut-wrenching because I should have had a baby. So it's like as soon as I stopped feeling that way, like babies for the longest period of time, I was very happy to see people with them. My best friend had a baby 3 months older than Levi. Love her pieces, and it wasn't like upset seeing other people with babies, but it was definitely like a heart-wrenching thing, like shit, I should have one of those. So once I stopped feeling like that, it was kind of like, okay, we could do this. I can't speak for Dante's experience on that, so that's my experience. Any more babies and a timeline? Honestly, I'm not too sure still. Like I know we said Cohen was going to be our last baby because of the trauma and trying to conceive and all of that. And while those things are still, I'm terrified. I'm terrified of trying to conceive, but I also know that it took me a long time to get pregnant, and that trying to conceive would be our best bet to have them close in age is what we would want. My biggest thing is like the trauma, but we said we were done after Cohen, and then when he went to the NICU, we said we were really done. Like we are not doing this again. The NICU brought up a lot of trauma with Levi because we literally thought we were gonna lose him. He didn't, like, he was hooked up to wires and they had to transfer him to a different hospital, and it was just like the second most terrifying like experience I've ever experienced, the first being Levi. And once he came home, I just didn't feel like a sense of completion. Like I didn't feel like it was done. And I still don't. Like I'm very content with the 2 kids that we have, and if we only had 2 kids, I would be okay with that. But it also feels like it's not done. Like I feel like it's not complete, if that makes sense. And I'm not sure if like that feeling of like incompleteness comes from like not having Levi and knowing we should. So like I'm kind of in a place where like I'm kind of like back and forth. Like if we had another one, I had baby fever, that's amazing, I would love more kids. On the other hand, I'm like, you're content, like it's fine, don't deal with the trauma. The other thing is, if we had another baby, we were waiting until after the wedding to make these to have these conversations more seriously than like, oh yeah, maybe. And that's just because I wasn't even considering it before the wedding. I bought my dress, I want to fit into it and all of that kind of stuff. So it hasn't even really been like a big conversation for us. That will have to come after the wedding, so I really can't give you an answer here, like specifically on a timeline. But if we were to, the idea is that we would move. We would probably want to move. Yes, technically the boys can share a room, but it's just like, it just doesn't feel like the place is big enough for 3 kids and us. So we would want a yard, and we would want to move. We'd want a washer and dryer in like the actual apartment instead of in the basement. And we would absolutely need a bigger car. Like I drive a little 5-seater car. So to have 3 car seats back there, like that's not gonna work. We would definitely need another car. So those are conversations. How has your relationship changed since having kids? I think I've mentioned this in a Q&A before, but honestly, I don't really think it has, like, if anything, having kids has only made us have to have more of a plan. Like we're pretty spontaneous people. I don't want to say like I'm like, oh, we'll drop at the dime of a hat and just go and do something, but we're also kind of those people. So we used to be like really spontaneous, like 2 a.m. we're gonna go somewhere. We obviously can't do that anymore. But like I don't really think that's like the biggest deal in the world. There isn't really anywhere to go anymore at like 3 a.m. But not like it was before, but we used to go for car rides at 3 a.m. But I'm not gonna wake up the kids to like put them in the car so we can go for a car ride. If anything, it's more like finding babysitters and like having less like planned dates, like outside of the house. And I'm sorry, like more like less dates outside of the house and more planned dates, instead of being like, oh, you know what, I feel like a date tonight. Unless you can find like a short term or a like late notice babysitter. That's probably the thing that I'd say that's changed like the most. but I'm also not sure if that's like having kids or like Dante's job, because Dante works literally like 60+ hour work weeks. So I don't really know like which one's at fault for that. Probably both, but that's probably the only thing that's really changed. Your kids have a preference on a specific parent? I'm not really, like they don't really prefer one of us over the other. However, Jackson does call everyone dad. everyone to Jackson is daddy. Dante's friend came here yesterday, like I said earlier in the video, to help with DIYs and stuff, and he walks in the door and Jackson goes, "Daddy?" And then like the guy downstairs is like, he's an older guy, he's a sweetie, he's not like, he's like middle-aged, and every time Jackson sees him he goes, "Dad, Dad," and it's like, no, that's not your dad. He calls me dad. You guys have probably seen it in a vlog, like everyone is dad, and I'm not sure if that has to do with like Dante being like gone, so he was like, "Hey, is that my dad?" or like whatever. But when Dante's here, he definitely soaks up as much time as he can get with him. So I'd say he was a mama's boy turned into a daddy's boy. He's a little bit more on the dad's end, and then Cohen's a little bit more on like my preference, if that makes sense. Would you want a girl next or another boy? I don't care. I would be happy to have all boys. I would love to have a daughter as well, but that's like not like the most important thing for me. I would just want them to be a healthy baby that we could just love regardless. Dante would say girl though, because Dante's wanted them all to be girls. Don't get me wrong, he loves his boys, but he's always wanted a girl. Since I found out I was pregnant with Levi, he's like, it's a girl. Jackson, he's like, it's a girl. Cohen, we both really thought was a girl, because my pregnancies from Levi and Jackson were so similar, and then Cohen's was so different. But we have decided that if we were to have another baby, we're not finding out the gender until birth, to keep something exciting, because I get induced. I also just want to say really fast, thank you guys so much for all of the love and support on the videos lately. I took a break planning for wedding things and just like adjusting to like the kids being sick and everything, and you guys have shown me so much love since being back, and I'm just so thankful, and I just wanted to say a big thank you. That is all the questions I'm going to answer. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow in my next vlog. Bye guys.